Hey there, guys. All right, today we are back with some more extra history, and this time we are on to part 4, the final episode of Hunting the Bismarck. Sink the Bismarck. Now, before we dive in, make sure you go and check out the links in the description box below. I would love to join the Discord and follow me over at Twitch, and please do go check out the 2 gaming channels here on YouTube. One of them is long-form content, is literally just the streams in their entireties uploaded straight to YouTube. And then the other channel is more edited content, which by the time of this being uploaded, there should be 2 videos now up there. An edit of my playthrough of Tales of Kinzera, which I think is it's decent, but I don't think it's, out of the 2, I don't think it's my strongest. And then an edited clip of like the first 10 or so streams of Fallout, my first playthrough of Fallout 4. I think that one is pretty great. I think there's a lot of good, funny shit in there. Please, I'd love it if you went and checked it out. But with all that said, let's go ahead and dive right in and sink the goddamn Bismarck, baby.
A flight of swordfish speeds east toward
I didn't know fish could fly.
the Bismarck.
So fucking stupid.
The hope of the Royal Navy rests on their wings. This episode is sponsored by Wargaming. New players can download World of Warships and use the code EXTRA1 for free goodies. Link in the description. 2047 hours. The 15 swordfish pilots know that this is their last shot. Soon it'll be dark, and by dawn the next day, the Bismarck will be in range of the Luftwaffe air bases on the French coast. No one else can get here and...
But, like, by this time, hasn't the Royal Air Force, like, shown their supremacy, like, over the Luftwaffe by this time? Like, I don't get the threat of the Luftwaffe right now. I mean, of course, them being closer to France, of course, gives the Luftwaffe the edge. But also, the English Channel isn't that big. The Royal Air Force should be able to exert enough force to wherever the Bismarck is going. At least I think so. At least I feel like. I don't know. We just haven't really been given the information as to why the Royal Air Force, I guess, isn't capable of challenging the Luftwaffe outside of Britain at this time. I didn't know.
time. They sight the Bismarck and start their attack run, coming in piecemeal after losing formation in the clouds. They fly low, some only 50 feet above the cresting waves. The Bismarck lights up with anti-aircraft fire, filling the air so thick with shells that the pilots hunch in their open cockpits. Crewmen scream as shrapnel tears their unprotected bodies. One swordfish takes 175 hits.
Damn.
But they don't go down. Torpedoes hit the water. One strikes Bismarck on its thick armor belt. The great ship weaves and dodges. Huge waves send the tin fish at crazy angles. One pilot is about to loose when he hears his navigator yell, "Not now!" He turns to see the man hanging upside down from the side of the plane, judging wave patterns so that the torpedo runs straight. Okay.
This fucking mad lad hanging off the side of a fucking plane while approaching one of the largest battleships ever made, while it's shooting at them. Bro's got balls of steel. I'm terrified of heights. Like, I never want to go on planes because I'm scared of them. This motherfucker's just... And also, I'm not good at swimming. I can swim, kinda. Not good at it. But I do not like the deep seas. This motherfucker... What? Not fair. Like, at least make me... Give me some of that bravery right there.
Okay, let it go! It's a textbook shot, 2 ship lengths ahead. The Bismarck makes an evasive turn, but the torpedo strikes its stern. There's a blast of flame and water. But the great ship sails on, unaffected. As the bloodied swordfish crews climb out of their aircraft, they report that they've failed. But a report comes in saying that the Bismarck is behaving erratically. She hasn't recovered from her evasive turn and has circled northwest into the wind and directly away from the French coast. The torpedo knocked out her steering. The pilots erupt in celebration. The 27th of May, 0000 hours on the King George V. Admiral Tovey finally has the opportunity he's needed to close the jaws on Bismarck. Over the last few hours, he's ordered destroyers to bracket the ship in order to ensure that Bismarck doesn't escape again. A few have harassed it with torpedoes, one Polish destroyer flashing the message, "I am a Pole," while firing, but mostly
God damn it, Poland. I love you.
they're keeping their distance. There'll be no night attack, Tovey decides. Catching up will cost precious fuel, and Bismarck has proved too dangerous to fight in less than ideal conditions. He'll wait until morning. 08:45 hours, 48 degrees 10 minutes north, 16 degrees 15 minutes west. For the first time since
Whatever that
beginning
means.
this mission, Tovey
Numbers.
sees Bismarck with his own eyes. Behind him is the HMS Rodney. The Rodney is old, slow, and leaking below decks, but its 16-inch guns are the largest
Slow and leaking, that's me.
in the Royal Navy. Though barely able to maneuver, Bismarck's guns are still fully operational. Tovey's plan is to approach Bismarck.
This battle station will be fully operational. Yeah. Unlimited power. Yeah.
From all sides, forcing the ship to split its fire between his 4 ships, the battleships King George V and Rodney, and the cruisers Dorsetshire and Norfolk. But first, the battleships must drive in hard from the west with only their forward turrets firing, the same maneuver that doomed the Hood. The Rodney opens fire at a range of 12 miles. Spray leaps up in front of the Bismarck, high enough that it spoils the targeting on King George V's first salvo. 3 minutes later, Bismarck answers, its opening salvo landing all around Rodney. Back and forth, the 3 ships trade fire, the Rodney and King George V plunging forward at top speed in the heavy seas. The pace renders the Rodney's engine room nearly uninhabitable. Crewmen hose her overheating boilers down with seawater. Every salvo blows the boiler doors open with a rush of flame, and each curtain of fire from the Bismarck creeps closer to the Rodney. On the Bismarck's 3rd salvo, fountains of water bracket the old ship. Shrapnel lances through her superstructure. The Rodney is dead to rights, expecting a hit. But then she fires. The 16-inch shell smashes into Bismarck's main fire control director. Her guns fall quiet in the absence of orders. The British battleships turn and split up, surrounding the Bismarck, pounding her with broadsides from 2 angles. After a pause, the Bismarck turns slightly to put King George V in view of its undamaged aft fire director, its salvos barely missing Tovey's flagship. But the British have found their range. 3 minutes after her first hit, Rodney nails Bismarck's B turret, penetrating the armor with a blast so powerful the concussion temporarily knocks neighboring A turret out of action. Bismarck's counterfire dwindles, each turret firing erratically and independently. Now even Tovey's cruisers have joined the pummeling. The 8-inch guns of Norfolk and Dorsetshire are too small to sink the Bismarck, but they tear through its unarmored upper decks. The Bismarck's superstructure begins to come apart. An ammunition locker explodes. The fire director station flies through the air like a kicked can. Flames reach as high as the mainmast. The bridge collapses forward. By 0930 hours, Bismarck's 4 great turrets have fired their last salvo, and shots from her secondary guns.
See, now they're beating up a weaponless ship. They're just fucking hammering it. At this point, like, in case it is just sitting dead.
Dwindle.
Dead
The
in water.
Rodney closes to point-blank range, 2,000 yards, and begins slamming broadsides into the hull. 3 fires rage on Bismarck's deck. Holes appear in the upper hull. So many shells are pounding the bow that it's red hot, hissing with steam every time it plunges into the heavy sea. Watching through binoculars, Royal Navy officers see a little trickle of men emerge from Bismarck. They run along the deck, sheltering behind the blasted turrets or jumping in bunches into the sea. For many of the British, it's the first time they've seen the enemy. It sickens them. German sailors try to signal surrender, but the next volley cuts them down. Aboard the
That's a war crime. And I can say that because it's after the Geneva Conventions now. Oh boy.
Rodney, a chaplain tearfully begs the ship's captain to stop, but their orders are clear. The Bismarck must be sunk. Yet the ship stubbornly refuses to go under. Tovey's ships circle, hammering her with every weapon they have, pounding away until the stress of their guns shatter windows and open leaks in their own ships. For 50 minutes, they dismember the Bismarck, firing over 2,800 shells. At 10:21 hours,
damn near an hour of unrelenting fire does not sink that fucker. Holy, what did they put in the hull? What is its armor fucking made out of? Fucking, what's the metal from Marvel? What's the Marvel metal from that you find a lot in Wakanda? What's that shit called? I can't remember.
Hours, the guns go quiet. Tovey's ships have expended so much fuel that they're in danger of not being able to get back home. Tovey orders his ships to make for Scapa Flow. The Dorsetshire will finish the Bismarck. Dorsetshire moves to point-blank range and fires 2 torpedoes into the Bismarck's starboard side and another into the port side. The pride of Hitler's fleet heels over, her lower hull
fucking
glowing
finally.
from internal fires, and gradually sinks by the stern. Within 15 seconds, she's gone. The Dorsetshire throws nets over its side to pick up German survivors. Her sailors try to haul as many as they can aboard, but some are badly burned or missing limbs. Safe on deck, crewmen hand their half-frozen enemies rum and hot cocoa, pity eclipsing their anger over the loss of the Hood. But then a lookout spots a U-boat periscope. German submarines are known to converge on sinking ships, and in order to save his crew, the Dorsetshires captain gives an unthinkable order. Unless they want to join the Bismarck, they must get underway. The ship begins to pull forward with hundreds of wailing men still floating around her.
Ooh.
Some cling to the nets as she begins to move, losing their grip and drifting to stern as she gains speed. 2,200 men served on Bismarck. Only 114 survived. The time is 1200 hours.
Oh, damn.
Churchill tells Parliament that the Bismarck has been sunk. The news goes out via radio minutes later, greeted by 3 cheers in the Bletchley Park canteen. It's a major victory for the codebreakers, proof that their program can deliver results. The victory comes at a crucial time. It distracts the press from Royal Navy losses in the Mediterranean, and signals to the U.S. Congress, still divided over American convoys, that the Royal Navy can defend American shipping. In Germany, propagandists spin the Bismarck's sinking as a noble last stand, but Hitler receives a different message. He's never trusted naval power. Capital ships are too expensive, too vulnerable to air raids, and their loss is too public. Plus, they gobble up Germany's limited fuel resources. The Royal Navy could have the Atlantic. From now on, he would use his capital ships defensively, and employ U-boats to harass convoys. After all, his focus was needed elsewhere. In 3 weeks, Germany's forces would invade the Soviet Union, and he'd have plenty of time to deal with the troublesome English once he'd captured Moscow. Or so he thought. Thanks again to Wargaming for sponsoring.
Was that a teaser? Did they do... Because I think they have a series on Operation Barbarossa. Did they do that, like, immediately after the series?
These episodes. Fair sailing, everyone.
And that was Hunting the Bismarck Part 4 by Extra History, Sink the Bismarck. This was a good series. I definitely think, actually, Part 4 here was the weakest one. Just because it was just, you know, it was 7 minutes of us, like, pretty much being told of them battering the absolute fuck out of the Bismarck. So there really wasn't like much here. I definitely learned though that I think my either I misheard previous stories surrounding the Bismarck, or I was outright given wrong information. But like I thought it was a swordfish that dropped a bomb on its like upper deck. That ended up sinking the Bismarck. I didn't know that it was a swordfish that hit the Bismarck just right to ruin its steering, and then the Royal Navy sent out 4 ships and just battered the absolute living hell out of it. I didn't know that. So I learned something new. Had some misinformation of mine corrected, which is always nice. It's always nice when that kind of stuff happens. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.